Hello, Internet. You're probably wondering why there isn't a review of Captain America Civil War yet. Well, there's a reason. And to explain this reason, let me give you a little bit of context of what it's like to actually try reviewing movies on the internet in today's market, climate, whatever you may call it. You see, there are certain idiosyncrasies to consider when you're trying to review movies professionally on the internet and you're not working for a large publication like, say, in the case of Utah, if you're not writing for Deseret News, City Weekly, or the Salt Lake Tribune, or New York Times, or the Chicago Sun, so on and so forth. And the biggest thing to consider is that it's very much a speed game. The sooner you get a review up, the higher chance you have of getting more views. And even better if you manage to go to a press screening and didn't have to sign any embargoes. For those of you who don't know, an embargo is basically a non disclosure agreement that you have to sign as a member of the press that basically says, oh, you can't release a review for this movie until this certain date. Usually they have them hold off until usually a couple of days before the release date, if not on the actual release date itself. This leads to another issue, another idiosyncrasy that I've encountered personally on my channel, and that's how I approach films. Now, this is how I approach it. It's not the same for all the other critics, but this is just kind of how I view film criticism. We are providing a service to the public, to the consumer. Basically, how I approach all of my reviews after every movie I've seen that I'm watching professionally to review is this movie worth the investment of time and money? Is it worth paying the full ticket price to see it in the theater like shortly after its release? Why or why not? That's the question I always ask after every film that I see when I'm reviewing it for the channel, back when I reviewed it for the paper, so on and so forth. And that's why I usually like to do the press screenings, because then I can get that information out ahead of the release, so that way I can help these consumers make these informed decisions. But if everybody's already going to see this film, if everybody's already seen the film at this point, am I really providing that service? And that's what I've been having to think about in regards to approaching highly anticipated films like anything from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or anything from the DC Cinematic Universe, or anything from any major franchise. And there's also another problem with that, where if you're going into a film that everybody has told you it's the greatest film ever, you're naturally going to be thinking, okay, movie, they are saying you're the greatest thing ever. Prove it to me. And that's not a really good attitude to go into a film with. It really isn't. That's why I wasn't able to enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy. That's why I wasn't able to enjoy Mad Max Fury Road. Because people had built those films up as being the greatest movies ever. And so naturally, I was out to say, okay, is this the greatest movie ever? Let's see what the problems are. And that's just not a way to enjoy a movie. It really isn't. With all of that information in mind, I've come to the following decision in regards to how I'm going to approach these Marvel movies going forward. And I'm applying it to the Marvel movies, I'm applying it to the DC movies, and I'm also going to apply this to the Star Wars franchise in terms of how I'm going to review them professionally, like how I'm going to actually structure them in the form of reviews going forward. And so instead of seeing these films in the theater at launch, I'm going to wait for these films to come to DVD. This will be after all of the hype has passed, after everybody's pretty much discussed and gushed and basically pointed out all the little pointless cameos, so on and so forth. After all of that is out of the way and done with, I'll look at these films on DVD and see if they actually hold up. Now, they're not going to be part of the main Romney Reviews channel. They're kind of going to fall under the Romney Discussions channel, because when they're on Blu-ray and DVD, I can actually capture the footage, I can go in depth, which means by going in depth, it'll go into spoiler territory, but by that point, any spoiler like statute of limitations will have long since expired. And so that's how I'm going to approach it going forward, and it's going to be primarily dictated on demand. If people want my thoughts on a Marvel movie or want my thoughts on a Star Wars movie going forward, they are going to be basically, you got to let me know if you actually want me to do it, and that actually has to translate into views, because what's the point of me making something if nobody's going to watch it? That's pretty much how I'm going to approach it going forward, because I'm getting sick of the hype cycle. I really am. I mean, I've already explained how you go into a movie that's been hyped as the greatest thing ever only to be kind of disappointed. And so, this is the best way for me to still be able to enjoy these movies and still be able to give them a thorough analysis without going crazy. I know that this decision is not going to be popular. Some people are going to think that I'm crazy. Some people are going to think, oh, you need to jump on the trends. But you know what? There's a wide world of cinema out there. And personally, anything I can say about the Marvel movies, about any of things of both the works of Warner Brothers and Disney and their huge media empires, it's a drop in the bucket, really. And so, unless I can actually add something to the discussion, I just don't see much point in going out of my way trying to basically line the coffers of the House of Mouse or the House of, I don't know what Warner Brothers refers themselves to. And so that's how I'm going to approach it. I'm going to wait until they come out on DVD and Blu ray and basically review them, give them a full in depth analysis, and see if they actually hold up after all of the hype has blown over. It's a classic case of hyperversion, but you know what? This is the only way that I can see myself being able to review these movies, still being able to enjoy these movies, and not lose my mind. So, that's pretty much how I'm going to approach it going forward, starting with Civil War and pretty much any and all Marvel movies and major franchise movies. I'm kind of targeting Disney in this case, but it could expand. I might apply this rule to other certain really hyped films. But that's pretty much how I'm going to approach it going forward because, well, I'm tired of this hype cycle. I'm tired of the whole everybody building things up bigger than what they are. And I'm tired of having that feeling, that mindset going into these movies. And so I'm basically just going to wait until the coast is clear. I'm going to wait until the storm dies down and then actually give these films a thorough, fair analysis. If you still want to stick with me, I truly appreciate your support. And I do have a few other much more in depth, intricate things planned in the future. So feel free to stick around if you want to support me, and I will see you all next time.